Hello everybody, this is Andre from C Galaxy, and in this video I will talk about how to build complex building using separate elements from our pack. At the first we need to open the file All Desert Houses Collection. Before we start, I recommend to make some changes in the Blender settings. I usually turn off the backface culling and turn off the scene world lighting. In the EV settings I turn off all the special effects like screen space reflection and things like that. Also very important to turn off the auto bake of the indirect lighting because it can crash your scene. After that we are hiding houses 01, houses 02. At the first you will have to combine different elements into single element. We did not combine them because we wanted to give you ability to change positions of the doors. You can push R and hit Z for Z axis and rotate the door to make it open. But for our purposes it's better to combine the elements into single one. You need to hold Shift, select first element, then second, and third, and hit Ctrl J. Other way of doing that is use select options and, for example, select lasso. If I use my tablet to select the element, then Shift left click on one of the elements to make it to make outline brighter, then Ctrl J to combine elements. If the outline will not be brighter, for example like this, if I hit Ctrl J, nothing happens, so I need to shift click on one of the elements and hit Ctrl J. Next step, I'm activating the object gizmos like move and rotate, and I'm moving objects I liked from the base assembly. To work with modules I need to change some settings. I need to turn snapping on. I need to set pivot point as a 3D cursor, and I need to turn snapping to vertex and target to center. Now if I hold Shift and right click, I can set my pivot point. I can make it visible using this option. I can set my pivot point to wherever vertex I like because snapping is on, and my 3D gizmo will follow the 3D cursor. With this I can easily move and snap together different modules. I can hit Ctrl and rotate it, snapping to every 5 degrees. I can hit Shift D to duplicate mesh, then hit Y to move it around along Y axis, then Shift right click to change pivot position and Control and rotate to rotate the fragment in the required position, then snap it together. So you can see that our wall becomes more interesting. Also we can use these elements to put them on top of our wall. Shift right click to change the pivot point and Control to rotate. And snap it in place. To create second floor, I am using this fragment without windows and doors. I hit Shift D, X to move it along X axis. Then I will rotate it. I hit R and Y and 90 to rotate it 90 degrees. I will turn off the snapping. Now I will turn on the snapping. Shift D. Shift right click to select one of the vertices and snap them together. Shift D again. Shift right click to select to snap it to one of the vertices and try to snap it. It works very fast. Next step, change the pivot point to bounding box center, hit add, mesh, plane, scale it up. Set the location on the axis to 0 and change the material to sand. Go to the shader editor. You need to select the sand material, go to the first node UV tile offset and set the X tile and Y tile to 10. In the next video I will show how to use modules from our pack to build large complex house. After we created our house, we need to combine all the elements together in order to make new UV maps for all the walls and create new blend mask which will create interesting transitions between different materials we have in our shader. Select lasso, then I change it back to select, control shift click on the plane because I don't need it, then I need to hit shift click on this element to make it outline brighter, and hit Ctrl J to join everything together. So all my meshes are combined together. Next step, I select the material tab, then I need to go to the edit mode and I need to select this material, wall mode details, hit select, and I need to select wall fragments material and hit assign. This will change the material wall mode details to wall fragments, and now what we will do, we will select all the wall mat materials. Oh, but here I have a little bug. I have wall mat fragments selected, so I need to deselect everything and select this material and assign it to the wall fragments. I need a single material that will be used for all my walls and surfaces with the wall material. So now I hit select to select them all, and I will detach all these elements. So I will go to the mesh, separate, selection. So now I have a separate mesh with all the walls. Next step, I'm going to UV editing layout. I'm selecting my object, going to edit mode. I recommend to turn on this little icon on the top left corner to see my UVs, even if I did not yet selected the object. After that, I'm selecting all the shells and I'm going to UV and back islands. I need to have certain padding between each shell, and to control this you need to go to the last used command in the top down, or you can hit D to show it, and you need to change this value. For example, I will use 0.001 and I will have a look. At the background I use houses blend mask 01. It is 8K texture and I can count the pixels. I need about 4 pixels between each shell, but I will use 4K texture, so for this 8K texture I'll need 8 pixels, and now I have a I have too big distance. I want to change it to let's try 0, and we'll have a look. So with 0 we have nothing, we have no padding, and it's really bad. So I need to change it to 0.0001. Let's have a look. So now it looks better. I need to find a place where I can count. So now I have about 4 pixels between each shell, and it is too small, and I will change it from 1 to 2, and now I will have about 8 pixels. Yeah, it's really good for me. I will use 4K texture, and I will have a little padding between each shell. Wonderful. For the next step, I'm going to Texture Paint tab. I've added additional window with the shader graph. To split the window, you will need to go to the top right corner of this window and click and drag to the down. So you will have 2 different windows, and here we will turn on the shader editor. I will select my object. I will go to the very beginning. Here we will see wall fragments blend mask. TGA, we will create new map. Here, create new image. We will call it building big one. Width of the image will be 4K by 4K. Color, you need to choose top left corner, red color. Turn off the alpha. Generated type is blank, and we will hit OK. Now we will need to go to our top window and select building big one, and we want to save this image. Go to image, save as, and we will choose here file format TGA Targa, and we will save it in our textures folder. Save as image. Wonderful, wonderful. And now in this top window, it is a UV editor. We can change it to the image editor, and we will select the image menu. We can hit N to show it. It can be hidden, so we can hit N to show it. And here I want to change color space from sRGB to linear, and I will turn off use alpha. Next step, in my right window I will make it bigger, because now I will use my brushes to paint different materials on my building. So here I change object mode to texture paint. As you can see, everything changed, and now I can see my texture. But I don't want to see that. I will turn off display overlays. It's very important that in your shader graph you will select your blend mask where you are making your painting, because if it's not selected, when you hit Ctrl Z, it will always change here in the selected texture options to some other texture, and it will be very inconvenient. Now As you can see, I can draw on top of my building and see as different materials change from one to another. I'm not really familiar with Blender tools for painting. I usually use Substance Painter, and I will show example how to use our preset in Substance Painter in separate video. But as far as I understood, it's a very good idea to change a file off in the brush setting to this brush shape, really sharp, so we will have a really good tool to create this kind of damage. Also, for the first color we use RGB, and R is 0, G is 0.5, B is 0.5. For the second color we also select RGB, then R is 1, G is 0.5 and B is 0.5. We can change between these two colors back and forth, and one color will erase our painting and another color will add more damage. So one color will erase damage, another will add damage. Using X we can switch between different modes and create interesting texture, whatever we like. So you can use these settings to add interesting damage where you need it. In next separate video I will show you the process of procedural building of this damage texture on top of the building using Substance Painter. I will attach the link. You can find the link in the description to this YouTube video.